Welcome to the Liquidity Event, a show about all things personal finance with a laser focus on taxes, financial independence, and equity compensation. Hosted by AJ and Shane of Brooklyn FI, each episode will focus on a personal finance topic, some driven by news headlines and sometimes driven by listener questions. And sometimes you'll just get two money nerds rambling about what they think is interesting. Just a quick note before we get started, this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered tax or investment advice.
Hello, and welcome to the Liquidity Event. I'm your host, AJ Ayers.
And I'm Shane Mason.
And this is episode 172, being recorded on January 13th, airing January 14th. That's tomorrow. Remember, folks, you can email us your financial planning questions at liquidityevent@brooklynfi.com, and we will answer them live on the air, or we will go to Reddit and answer questions from there. How are you doing today, Shane Mason?
I'm good. I went for a run this morning. I'm feeling refreshed.
I see that. You look very runner bro-y right now.
Yeah.
Is that an anorak?
What is an anorak? I don't know what it is. It's a windbreaker, whatever.
I believe that is an anorak.
I thought an anorak. Define anorak.
I don't know. It's what you're wearing. It's I think it's like a windbreaking.
It's like using the word in the definition.
Although I will say, I think an anorak does not have a zip. I think an anorak is closer to a pullover hoodie made out of windbreaking material is how I would maybe define it.
The bigger sin that I'm breaking, besides appearing to look like a bro in Bushwick, which I love, is that I'm mixing brands. I've got the Nicholas Maduro Nike on, and I've got the Adidas running hat on, because they're both
good.
Maybe I'll switch it around. There we
go. Oh, still got that little.
Oh no!
What is the little Adidas logo? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we can't be promoting brands that are not sponsoring us on the podcast today.
Which would
be literally nobody. Today on the pod, folks, we are going to talk about nuclear energy. We are going to talk about Mitt Romney's anti-tax op-ed in the New York Times, and we're going to talk about newly being rich, and Shane would like to talk about creatine monohydrate.
Brought to you by Nutricost Performance Creatine Monohydrate. The only 5 milligram pills of creatine that won't choke you to death. Actually,
I took my creatine this morning via gummy, which is the only way that I choose to indulge. We got to hang out last night. That was cool.
That was cool.
Thanks for dinner.
Yeah. I love when we put something on the business credit card and it's like, I always have to do it because it's like I don't always have to do it, but I feel like I should.
Yes, you like to do it.
It's a man and a woman at a dinner, and if the lady pulls the card out, I don't want to have to do she's my business partner.
Yeah. It's the whole thing. We had an excellent dinner last night at Vinegar Hill House. Shout out to one of my fave restaurants in New York City. Just always a fantastic experience. Great pastas, and really enjoyed that last little Guinness chocolate cake with cream cheese frosting. That was fire.
Shout out to the homie Tim Gorbett for hooking it up.
Yeah, love to have a guy. Yeah. All right, let's talk about nuclear energy.
That's
in the
a transition.
United States.
Damn. Okay. And that's enough about our personal lives.
Anyways, good to see you, bud. So nuclear. So first of all, before we get into nuclear energy, I made this recommendation to you last night, but I want to make it again to our listeners.
Don't use Calendly's HubSpot integration.
Oh yes, that. Yeah. Sorry, folks. I'm out on Calendly. Calendly really shit the bed for Brooklyn FI over the past 3 weeks, resulting in actual business lost, which we'll get into maybe at another time.
I didn't know that. What happened?
Oh yeah, I mean, no one could book calls. People. So if a client wanted to, or a prospect wanted to talk to one of the people on our sales team, they would book a call, and Calendly's emails were getting flagged as phishing because there was a phishing attempt that they did not quickly handle or communicate to their customers. So clients would book a call, but they would get no confirmation and no communication about it. So we would show up for the call because usually, we have all of our systems set up so they get reminder emails that goes on. That's an invite on their calendar, but everything was being blocked. So folks would email us and be like, "Hey, what's going on? I can't get into I don't even know what this call is, or I was waiting for you to call me." So we had to do a lot of manual reminders and whatnot. But yeah, it sucked. It was during usually our busiest week of the year of new business is the first week of the year because people are like, oh shit, new tax year, gotta get my life together. Let me find a financial advisor. So yeah, January we always have 2 to 3 times the number of discovery calls and we had our software was not working. It was really shitty. Shout out to Jessica on our operations team who, relentlessly bothered them to get it solved, and we did. Amazing.
That's why you track
Shane, I
KPIs
can't see you. I don't know
on
if
a
my
weekly
internet's
basis.
down or your internet's down or the world is ending. But let's talk about what happens if a nuclear reactor explodes.
I'm sorry, the internet cut out for a second.
Yeah.
Are we talking about Chernobyl again?
Yeah, we're back to Chernobyl. So anyway.
Every damn episode's about Chernobyl on this podcast.
Okay, so that was like 17 non sequiturs, but my recommendation was yes, don't use the Calendly HubSpot integration, but my real recommendation is a TV show on Netflix called
God.
Dark, which is originally in German, that's dubbed over. It's giving True Detective season 1 meets Stranger Things meets Chernobyl. It's 1980s. Well, I don't want to spoil it, but it's about a nuclear PowerPoint. I was to say nuclear.
I don't think Stranger Things is good anymore. I
didn't watch the last season. All right, so tell me about nuclear power and the current administration.
Yeah, it turns out that the Epstein files are so intense that the Trump administration is doing all kinds of things that are popular with the American people. That includes greenlighting nuclear energy. I have noticed that there were some other like popular things that are being pushed out recently. What did we say? They're also pushing out institutional investors in private home ownership. That's another thing that the administration is doing in order to distract from the Epstein files.
What's the other one?
There's a lot of things that are like
Trump accounts.
What was the recent one? Breaking down people's doors of U.S. citizens
interest?
to try to deport them.
Oh yeah, that.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway,
so they're pro nuclear reactors, which I think is actually a smart move. I think we have one of the strongest nuclear networks in the world up there with France. Shout out to France and Charles de Gaulle's push to build independent energy resources via nukes, one of the lowest waste types of energy efficiency or energy production out there. And I think that this is a large effort to meet the demands of AI and data centers that are just going to dramatically increase our demands for energy over the next 10 years. I think it's very forward-looking to expand our nuclear facilities, especially with some of the new technology that we see in this article, which is really exciting. There's new types of reactors.
Right? That's what the crux is. Like, we've sort of slept on nuclear energy as not a form of energy that we wanted to invest in over the past couple decades. So we've only built 2 reactors in the last decade, and guess how many China has built in the last 10 years?
Yeah,
a bunch, 3 dozen.
It is, yeah, not only nuclear but also solar. And when it comes to training these data sets or these large language models, we need as much energy as we can get. That and for crypto. And unfortunately, the corporate beings or the corporate entities are stealing or taking, not stealing, they're just creating a high demand for additional energy, and the grid can't handle it. So
yeah.
This is
we need other sources, right? We also don't want to be oil dependent. Although
we're not anymore now that
we're going to have a nice influx of that.
Yeah. Now that we have the next 52nd state and the 51st state are both being added. You know where.
Rhymes with Queensland.
What is it?
And
what does it rhyme with? It rhymes with Iceland.
Leguizela. I was trying to do a John Leguizamo, but I didn't get there. So nuclear. Okay, so what's your favorite depiction of a nuclear meltdown?
Bro, I don't have a favorite. There's only one depiction of a nuclear meltdown.
No, there's not. There's
an
entire
HBO's
genre.
Chernobyl. How do we? Are you autistic? What are we doing? How does Chernobyl come up on every episode of this show?
Well, we were supposed to talk about it last week, and we pushed it to this because we ran out of time. So we did not have time to talk about Chernobyl. We just mentioned it.
The show came out in 2020. What are we doing?
I have a very deep fascination with nuclear meltdowns, aided by my history teacher, Mr. Hall, in 9th grade, who showed us, we did a series of films about nuclear meltdowns. And my favorite one is the China Syndrome. It came out in the early 90s, I think. So if anyone is interested in nuclear reactor meltdowns and what could happen, it's about China Syndrome, which is that if a nuclear reactor core melts, it could be so hot that it could actually melt through the core of the Earth and reach China if the reactor meltdown were to happen in the U.S. So, pretty fun movie.
China syndrome? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. China syndrome.
We never talk about how holes in the Earth could go to China anymore. I think we've lost that as a society.
We've lost the plot. I mean, there are real threats out there. Real threats. One, from a business standpoint, there's $800 million in grants from the federal government for reactor tech, and a $1 billion loan to guarantee to restart 3 Mile Island. Nothing bad happened there. Just a little slip up there in the.
Look, especially compared to Fukushima, there's just not a lot of reactors out there. Occasionally we learn big lessons, and one of those big lessons is that we can't have meltdowns. And some of this new tech in this article that they explore are these new types of reactors that supposedly can't have meltdowns, which is really exciting. There is some debate on whether or not that's possible. There's this idea of wrapping different types of elements besides uranium in salt, which I thought was really cool and interesting. And I'm not
instead
a chemist,
of water, right? It's like salt is a coolant. Yeah.
Yeah. So if we can build nuclear reactors that don't require those giant plumes of smoke, I think that I did say that these are popular things with people to distract from the Epstein files. I actually don't think nukes are very popular. They usually come in way over budget. They're usually built in, the rougher part of towns. They're really ugly. But they have very low waste, and we can always just pump the waste into space if we have to. So I don't know.
There you go. Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm a big fan of this. There's a company called Kairos, Kairos, which is a Greek word, which means the right time, or an opportunistic moment for decisive action. So we will be keeping an eye on Kairos because they already have a contract to supply Google with power. So we'll see if they can bring these reactors online fast enough to hold up the end of their contract. Shall we move on? Let's move on. Speaking of nuclear, Mitt Romney published a op-ed in the New York Times last weekend, the gist of which was, "I'm rich, tax me." What did you think of his opinions here?
We get these pretty often from rich people. We got Warren Buffett saying this. We got we've had a lot of people, a lot of political figures and famous people. They get an opportunity to write an article. I think this one is based on the upcoming cliff in the Social Security Trust Fund. There's two things that he mentions in the article. One is the reason that he's writing it is the 2034 is supposedly when the trust fund is going to run dry. That doesn't feel very far away anymore. Does that feel far away to you? Because in 2020, 2034 was like...
That's less than 10 years.
A long time ago. Like a long time. People forget COVID was almost 7 years ago. And this trust fund running dry is 7 years in the future. So we are about as far away from the trust fund running dry as when COVID happened. So there's one way to frame it. The other reason that
if we don't make changes,
yeah, the other reason that we don't, that he wrote this is because of the student loan, like the issues going on with student loans, wherein there's plenty of people, which is there's two things that require additional taxes or cutting of benefits. And one of them is, of course, the Social Security Trust Fund. The other way to imagine the transfer of wealth from the rich to the poor, from the poor to the rich, is that we have stopped funding federal aid for college throughout the 90s and the 2000s. A lot of states cut down on their contributions, which were taxes on the rich that went to put people through college. So all of these people with student loans that can't start families, which is a demographic problem for the United States, is a result of tax issues. So those are the reasons he wrote it. The items that he mentions within the article are really interesting. The big targets are, caps on payroll taxes that we currently have. He talks about them as loopholes, and then he redefines them as more like caves or caverns than
the caverns
little
of taxation.
holes in the
Kata.
Yeah.
Shed some light on the cavern.
He mentions the step up in basis at death for capital assets like stocks, 1031 exchanges in the real estate space, which are not intended for real estate, but more for farmland. Carried interest and the SALT deductions are all just like individual carve-outs for the rich that don't actually enhance economic activity at all. They're just results of Citizens United, essentially.
Yeah, a lot of the tax policies that he's talking about, these caverns, these loopholes that we could close, are basically kicking the tax down the road, right? Step up a basis is like, you're not going to pay it during your lifetime. Let's kick it down to your heirs. You're not going to pay tax when you sell this piece of real estate. You're going to move your basis into a new property. So it's just delaying taxation. And basically we're going to run out of money. The boomers, their tax policies have delayed the collection too long, and the numbers don't work anymore. It's like too little too late, dude. Like you left politics and now you're writing op-eds. Like, is it like finally you've been pushed too far of the edge of your association with the Republican Party that now you're flipping around? I don't know. This is good. We need more sane arguments that don't rely on religion or politics. This is just sort of numbers for the most part. I like the idea. I like that he's saying that in the past, these big sweeping cuts to government funding don't necessarily work. Cutting is not enough. So we had this department led by Musk. Doge came in and they slashed all these benefits. They fired a bunch of workers. They were going to, clean up all the bureaucratic fluff and save us a bunch of money. And the receipts just do not add up. We got to change tax policy. We can't just spend less. What do we tell our clients? There's two ways to save more money. You can make more, you can spend less, and we really have to focus on the making more as a country to make this work.
Yeah, the Republicans historically have always said let's just make more, right? We can cut spending, and if the lower the taxes are, the more economic growth that we will help us with this. And he's got this great quote that says, "Of course, a much faster growing economy would save us from the debt cliff. This truism has long rationalized politicians' failure to act. Faster growth promised with tax cuts is always just around the corner, but we've never turned that corner." It's like, the only person that turned that corner was Bill Clinton, which is a whole other one time in the past 150 years we've had a surplus, which is probably not true, but in the past 50 years for sure.
In recent memory, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that debt is growing. We're about to hit 40 trillion this year or next year. It's not good. Not a good position to be in. But we're the United States. We'll figure out a way out of it. Maybe we'll find the solution at the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas.
Your transitions are so off today.
Transitions today are not working, folks. I apologize.
What's on your mind? What happened this morning?
We've got a TechCrunch article here.
I know when my girl's got something on her mind.
I'm just tired, man. Got a lot going on.
Gotcha.
The most bizarre tech announced so far at the Consumer Electronics Show. Did you read this article, Shane?
I did, yeah.
What's exciting to you?
Couple
I like
things.
the silent ice maker is really where I'm putting all my dollars.
That's the only thing I didn't comment on. I figured you would have something to say about that. Well, there's 5 things in here, 2 of which are more AJ related. Well, 3 of them actually I would say are AJ related. Can you guess which ones?
Well, I'm going to guess the AI anime companion that watches you from your desk is not me.
Nope.
That was you.
That ain't you. Right.
The snuggly panda bear robot for older adults, also not for me. That's
not
for you.
Correct.
Ice cube maker for me, for sure.
Uh-huh.
Ultrasonic chef's knife that vibrates when slicing and dicing. Absolutely AJ coded. And a music lollipop that plays Ice Spice in your head. Could go either way. And then a Wall-E-inspired robot patrols your home and can also join you on camping trips. And as we all know, no one will ever be joining me on a camping trip because you will never find me on a camping trip.
Absolutamente. The last thing is for you, though.
Oh, I didn't get that far. The last one is an egg-shaped hormone tracking device. Yeah, let's track our hormones, ladies. Let's know when we're in our luteal and follicular phase. Don't let that shit bring you down.
I think you have to pee into it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You
Yeah.
pee in it? Oh, yeah. Okay. So it replaces the sticks? Are you familiar with the sticks?
I guess I'm not as familiar. When I pee on something, it's usually alive. And so I think the AI companion gamer for gamers from Razer was really interesting. My takeaway on a lot of these things is that most things at CES are focused on hardware, right? Like consumer electronics, right? And most of the news in the hubbub lately has been around the software space, around AI. So there is AI being built into some hardware things. I don't think Boston Dynamics does exhibitions at CES, or maybe this is just focused on the weirdest things. But I do notice that a lot of these things are intended to keep us further away from human interaction, unfortunately, or are a result of our reduced human interaction that is existing in society. An AI companion for gamers from Razer, it's like a physical thing that has AI built into it. It sits on your desk and like talks to you. That's fucking sad, but it is necessary.
So it's like instead of having your buddies over to play N64 in the basement, like you're just by yourself in your room, not talking to your family or your friends because you got your AI bot.
Yeah.
So it's like it's further retraction into our own little heads.
Exactly. There's an AI companion for the elderly, which I think if you're old and you're alone, that's a harder problem to fix. And it's called and it's a little robotic panda, which is like the most Asian thing I've ever seen. It's for her. My question for you, AJ, is
Mind with heart.
Where are our haptic suits?
Yeah.
For immersive Pokemon, massively multiplayer online RPGs, which
RPG,
will
Pokemon
be the end
Go,
of my life once that is
IRL.
released. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm ready. Ready Player One is the vision of the future that I feel like we're headed towards. Speaking of anoraks, whoa, talk about full circle. Anyway, you've read Ready Player One?
What is the anorak thing?
Have you read?
It's a windbreaker. I love Ready Player One. Yeah.
There's the main character. One of the main characters is anorak. Anyway,
is that his name? Is that the handle?
It's like that's his like. You know me, I don't know the video game lingo, but that's his name in the space in the video game land. Okay. What are I've heard about this laundry robot and like the cleaning robots. A dish doing robot would solve a lot of problems in my household.
Yeah, there are the Boston Dynamic and the Tesla robots or whatever the name of that company is that handles like the household chores are very fun to watch fuck up. But if they're displaying them at these trade shows, and they're going to be living in our houses pretty soon, or like they're going to be working at Amazon warehouses pretty soon. So it looks like a lot of those shops. Have you seen the robot that like has 360-degree joints that could just like
that can
invert?
Like can like do can do the whatever this move is called.
Yeah, we're losing drivers, we're losing warehouse workers, we're going to be losing a lot of jobs over the next 5 years to actual robots, which I find crazy and interesting.
You know what jobs we're not losing to robots? Medi-spa technicians. I've got a fun article for you that was emailed to me by the New York Department of State, because I'm on that very exciting email list, that over 200 inspections conducted statewide resulted in suspension, revocation, and fines for Medi-spas. Shane, have you ever been to a Medi-spa?
You know I've never been to a med spa.
Okay. Well,
but
for those that don't know, a med spa is where you get your little frowny lines erased. You get a little Botox injection, you get a little filler here, and they're sort of this... They are regulated, for the record, but they're not quite medical professionals. You don't have to be a doctor to inject a product like Botox into someone's forehead to smooth out their fine lines. This sort of brought it. So basically, there was a huge New York Department of investigation into these spas because people were getting all kinds of nasty rashes and diseases from the misuse of these products. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, there was I know I have friends that do Botox injections. I've got friends that work in nursing, and apparently it's a very popular like side hustle for nurses to also do med spa injections. Like even just like one of my friends goes house to house or home to home, door to door, I guess, kind of like ice. And she breaks in and puts a Botox in your face. Nice little ice reference. I mean, how do we not talk about ice on the podcast? It's pretty... The entire country is freaking out. Anyway, so I noticed that at these inspections, they had the presence of controlled substances. Nurses are drug dealers, essentially. My sister is a nurse. She's a CRNA. And if you go through her closet, it is insane. If I ever have a pain or if I'm like, hey, I got to fly to Japan, she immediately like pops out an Ambien or like some drug I've never heard of and is like, hey, if you take... I mean, she doesn't actually do that, but she says, if I wanted to break my license, I could give you this.
All right.
Anyway, I've noticed that these...
Basically, nurses are the backbone of the American healthcare system. No matter what. For everything.
Yeah. And they're finding at these med spas... John Oliver actually did a thing about med spas recently, and they seem like nightmare scenarios. There's like a lot of TikToking happening, and in this New York State Department article, it looks like there's a lot of fentanyl, xylocaine, and propofol.
Yeah, no good.
Which sounds horrible. They should really let me know where
the
these
med spas
are at so that I can avoid them at all costs.
I think that here's the thing with Botox. Botox is, yes, it's a physical product, but it's genius because it's a subscription. Once you start doing Botox, you can't stop. So it's like this, all of us who are entering into this era of needing the pressures of looking more youthful and younger and more beautiful are contributing to this massive economic opportunity. There were 2.5 million Americans who got Botox in 2022. And I bet that number has increased dramatically since then. And it's expensive, right? And so like the fact that so many people are using it, it's bringing the cost slightly down. But we're getting these super, super high-end doctors, you know, tens of thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars for a facelift. And then at the bottom, you have these med spas where you can get, you know, 10 Botox injections for $35 and a pack of cigarettes. So this industry of how do I look younger and how do I look younger in a way that doesn't make it look like I tried too hard, I think this is where a lot of economic growth is going to come from in the next couple decades. Not necessarily, right? And we're going to need those nuclear reactors to power the chemical factories that are going to make all the shit we're putting in our face. So I get it. I think wanting to look your best, we're in this era of the GLP-1, so the mixture of GLP-1s plus injectables is going to allow folks to live their best life and be their best self in whatever format they see fit. So I'm pro med spa, but just make sure you go to a good licensed one that isn't going to give you rabies or whatever. All right, that's all we have for you today, folks. Thank you for listening to our little podcast here. I'm going to look for the outro, which I can't find. Thanks so much for listening. You can email us your financial problems at liquidityevent@brooklynfi.com. And finally, Stans can leave us a review if they want to be worried about it. You've been great. I've been off today. See you next week.
Bye.